Okay. Let's unpack this. Imagine the last 2 years were just this massive party. Everyone was super excited, popping champagne, watching the fireworks and shouting about how AI is going to change everything.
Right. It was the hype phase.
Exactly, the hype phase. It was exciting, a little chaotic, maybe a little scary for some, but mostly theoretical.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. It's like the wow phase where you look at a magic trick and you're just trying to figure out how it works.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But today's the morning after, the party's over, the confetti is basically being swept up, and we are waking up to what Delson and Dira in the source conversation we're analyzing today from their 30-day AI series, what they call Day 2,
And day two is definitely not about the hype. It's about integration. It's about the actual work.
which is really the hook here. We aren't like debating if this technology is going to be a big deal anymore. That ship has completely sailed.
Long gone.
Right. So the conversation has shifted to this much more pragmatic and honestly much more urgent reality. We're calling this deep dive the silent shift.
I like that. The silent shift.
Because while everyone was, arguing about Terminator scenarios on Twitter,
Right, the sci-fi stuff.
yeah, the sci-fi stuff, while that was happening, the actual ground beneath the workforce started moving.
It's a tectonic shift, really.
Yeah.
But it's happening so quietly. I mean, it's not robots kicking down the door of your office and literally sitting in your desk chair.
No.
It's a fundamental replacement of the systems and the daily tasks that actually make up your workday.
And so our mission for today's deep dive is to map out that shift for you. We need to figure out exactly what is disappearing right now because things definitely are disappearing, what is being built in its place, and why the profile of the quote-unquote safe employee has just been completely rewritten as of 2026.
And I'll just warn you right now, the new profile looks absolutely nothing like the old one.
Not even close. So let's just dive right into the first big realization from the source material. When people worry about AI, they usually say things like, AI is going to replace my job.
Right, that's the headline fear.
Yeah.
Everyone says that.
Yeah. But the core insight here from Delson and Dara is that AI doesn't actually start by replacing people.
No, it really doesn't.
Yeah.
That's actually the wrong unit of measurement entirely. AI doesn't replace a person. It replaces time.
Time.
Yeah, time is the very first casualty.
Okay, time is the casualty. That sounds super profound, but let's, ground it for a second. What does that actually look like on a random Tuesday morning at the office?
Well, think about the actual mechanics of knowledge work. Let's just take research as an example. If I assign you a project to research, I don't know, the state of renewable energy in Southeast Asia, what do you actually do?
I panic slightly.
Naturally.
And then I go to Google. I probably find about 50 PDFs. I open them all up in a million tabs. I read the abstracts. I realize half of them are totally useless. I skim the other half. I highlight stuff. I copy and paste it into a massive doc. It's just a slog.
Exactly. It's cognitive grunt work.
Yeah.
That entire process, the finding, the filtering, the synthesizing, that might have taken you 2 solid weeks in the past,
Yeah.
you're effectively just acting as a human data processor.
And I'm usually exhausted by the time I actually sit down to start writing the real report.
Right. But now, you take those 50 PDFs,
Yeah.
you upload them into a context window, and you ask the AI to extract all references to solar adoption rates and cross-reference them with government subsidies.
Wow.
It doesn't read them like you do.
Wow.
It ingests that data pattern instantly, and it gives you the synthesis in 30 seconds.
So the 2 weeks of work just evaporates.
Dawn, completely evaporated. And that is the silent shift. The actual job of writing the report didn't disappear, but the time required to do the job just collapsed.
And the numbers they threw out in the discussion to back this up were pretty wild. They talked about customer service replies going from hours of drafting and checking policy manuals to literally seconds.
Yeah.
Content writing, which I know so many people struggle with, going from days of agonizing writer's block to just minutes of editing an AI draft. Research, like you said, from weeks to instant.
And it creates this massive vacuum. If a task that used to take 40 hours now takes 40 minutes, what happens to the other 39 hours and 20 minutes?
Right.
That is basically the defining economic question of our time.
Well, and that leads us directly to the at-risk list from the source material. Because if the time is disappearing, the people whose entire job description is just filling that time, they're in trouble.
Absolutely. The material identifies a very specific layer of work that is getting hammered right now. The middle skills layer.
Yeah, let's run through these because I think a lot of listeners might actually find themselves or their daily tasks on this list. We've got entry-level writing jobs,
Basic graphic design,
administrative tasks,
data analysis,
simple coding,
transcription.
and translation. It's a huge breadth of roles.
And do you notice the common thread connecting all of those?
They all kind of seem like processing tasks, like moving information from one format to another.
Exactly. They're translation tasks at their core. Taking an abstract idea from a meeting and translating it into a formal memo. Taking raw data from a spreadsheet and translating it into a chart.
Right, taking a design brief and translating it into a basic logo.
Yes. And AI is the ultimate translator. It's the universal translator. So if your primary value to your company is simply, I take input A and turn it into output B.
You are firmly in the danger zone. And this isn't some crazy prediction for 2030, right? The sources make it very clear this is happening right now in 2026.
Right now, today.
So this brings up the new business anatomy. This was such a fascinating part of the deep dive. It's not just that individual people are working differently. The companies themselves are actually being built differently from the ground up.
Absolutely. We're seeing the rise of the micro MNC, the micro multinational.
Break that down for us. What does that mean in practice?
Well, it used to be that if you wanted to scale a company to hit, say, 10 million in revenue, you needed a certain amount of human infrastructure.
Yeah.
You needed an HR department, a dedicated marketing team, a huge sales floor, a whole dev team.
Right. There was this direct, linear relationship between revenue and headcount. More money always meant more people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But AI completely breaks that correlation. Now you have these lean startups building incredible things with significantly fewer employees because the AI software is literally acting as the infrastructure. Entrepreneurs are scaling without hiring.
And the material mentioned that this isn't just about cutting corners or being cheap.
No, not at all. It's about velocity.
Yeah.
The motivation here is operating lean and fast. In the old world, if you wanted to launch a new marketing campaign, what happened? You had a meeting.
Oh, yeah.
Then you wrote a creative brief.
Yeah.
Then a draft. Got a review cycle. Then legal looks at it. Then you finally launch. 3 weeks minimum.
And just endless soul-crushing email chains.
Right. But today, a lean AI-enabled team drafts, iterates, compliance checks, and launches that same campaign in a single afternoon.
Yeah.
If your competitor is operating at AI speed and you are still operating at committee speed, you lose.
You're just too slow to react. It doesn't even matter how talented your people are.
Exactly.
But I want to pivot here to how this actually feels for the 9-to-5 employee listening right now. Because if I'm working a standard corporate job, this workforce shift sounds really uncomfortable.
It is uncomfortable because the fundamental rules have changed.
Right. We all grew up with this old rule. The rule was the hardest worker is the safest. If I'm the first one in, the last one to leave, if I just grind and put in the sweat equity, I'm indispensable.
The martyr strategy.
Yes. But the uncomfortable truth for the 9-to-5 employee in 2026 is that the old rule is dead. The safest employee is no longer the hardest worker.
The safest employee is the one who knows how to use AI. Period.
And I can hear people getting defensive about that. It feels like we're devaluing hard work.
I get that. But businesses don't actually reward effort. They reward efficiency and output. And this is where the source material introduces the concept of the efficiency multiplier.
Explain the multiplier.
Let's look at 2 employees side by side. Employee A is your classic grinder. They work 10 hours a day, they're meticulous, they write every single line of code or email from scratch. They do great work. Their output is 1x.
Okay, the standard baseline.
Right. Now, employee B only works 8 hours a day. But they use AI to structure their code, to summarize the research, to draft the initial emails. They're acting more like an editor or a conductor. Their output is 3x.
So employee B is literally producing the work of 3 people.
Yes. And from the business's perspective, who is more valuable? If an employee using AI can produce the work of 3 people, they become incredibly valuable. If they cannot, and someone else can, they become replaceable.
That is brutal, but it makes total sense. It means that just grinding away is actually becoming a sign of inefficiency. But okay, let's flip the script. Because every technological shift destroys old roles, but it also creates new ones. We don't want to just sit here in doom and gloom. Let's talk about the opportunities AI is creating right now.
And the creation side is huge. The source material lists out several specific new job titles that are emerging from this wave.
Yeah, I have the list here. We've got prompt engineers, obviously, AI content strategists, automation consultants, AI marketing specialists, AI product builders, AI course creators, and entire AI-powered agencies.
The AI product builder is probably my favorite chip.
Why that one specifically?
Because in the past, if you wanted to build a tech product, you needed a computer science degree. You needed to know Python or React. The barrier to entry was highly technical.
Right.
But now, coding is becoming a commodity. The AI can write the code.
Mm-hmm.
So an AI product builder doesn't need to be a traditional programmer. They just need to be a problem solver with a clear vision. They provide the logic, and the AI handles the syntax.
But see, this is where I think a lot of listeners get tripped up. They hear these new titles, automation consultant, prompt engineer, and they assume you still need a heavy tech background.
Which is a complete myth. And the source material explicitly debunks this. They state that the only real requirements for these new roles are curiosity and consistency.
Just curiosity and consistency. That's it.
That's it. Because the interface is just natural language. It's English.
Yeah.
If you can clearly explain a task to a smart intern,
Mm-hmm.
you can prompt an AI. You don't need a tech degree to be curious about how to make your own workflow faster.
That's incredibly empowering, but it also highlights the cost of stagnation. The real risk here isn't the AI itself, is it?
No, the real risk is staying still.
Because those who ignore this wave are eventually going to have to swim in it anyway. And learning to swim when you're already exhausted and drowning is so much harder than learning when the water is calm.
Exactly. Which brings us to a really fascinating part of Delson and Dara's conversation, the psychology of procrastination. Why do we wait? If the barrier is so low, why isn't everyone doing this?
The source defines 3 specific reasons people procrastinate on learning AI. The first one is comfort.
Right. The belief that I'm fine right now, my boss hasn't told me to use it, so I won't. But comfort is temporary. By the time the company restructures, your comfort zone vanishes.
Then there's fear. The worry of, what if I can't understand it? What if I break it?
But fear disappears with exposure. The moment you actually use it to solve a real problem, it stops being scary and starts being useful.
But the third reason, this is the one we really need you to unpack as the expert. Ego. The thought that I don't need it. The source material says ego is expensive. Why is that such a crucial realization?
Because ego ties your professional identity to the struggle of the task. A senior writer might say, a machine can't write like me. A data analyst might say, I don't trust the AI to do my pivot tables. They take pride in doing it the hard way. But in a business context, that pride is expensive. It's like a mathematician refusing to use a calculator because they prefer long division. If you're charging a company for 10 hours of manual work when a tool does it in seconds, you aren't being principled, you're just being inefficient. And the market will eventually penalize that ego.
Ego is expensive. I love that. So let's move to the action plan. How do we go from familiarity to actual leverage? What should the listener do immediately after this deep dive ends?
The specific advice is to start small. Do not try to build an autonomous robot today. Just use AI tools for daily mundane tasks.
Like what?
Writing emails, organizing messy meeting notes, planning your week, researching a new client. Just start folding it into the boring stuff.
And this follows the progression model they laid out. The goal for day 2 isn't mastery, it's familiarity.
Right, just get used to talking to it. Then, over time, familiarity turns into skill. You learn what prompts get the best results.
And then skill turns into leverage.
Exactly. Leverage is when you become that 3X employee.
Which perfectly sets up the 5-year outlook discussed in the source. Because in 5 years, the baseline is completely different.
Oh, in 5 years, the question won't be, do you know AI? They'll be like asking someone if they know how to use the internet.
Right, it's just assumed.
And the question will be, how well do you use it?
And the answer to that question will determine 3 massive things for your career: your income, your opportunity, and your relevance.
Relevance is the key word there. You don't want to be the person who is employed, but totally irrelevant to the core operations because you refuse to adapt.
Absolutely. So, to summarize the core message from Delson and Dara, we are early enough to win, but we are not early enough to wait.
Awareness is step 1. If you're feeling a little uncomfortable listening to this, that's actually a really good sign. It means you're paying attention.
Exactly. Discomfort is where the growth happens. And before we go, we want to leave you with one final, slightly provocative thought to mull over on your own.
Something to really think about.
We talked a lot today about the efficiency multiplier, about using AI to do the work of 3 people in a fraction of the time. So, if AI multiplies your efficiency to the point where you can finish an 8-hour workload in just 3 hours, what does your workday actually look like when you become that person?
Right.
Do you work less and take your time back, or does the company just expect you to achieve 3 times as much?
It's a massive question of the future of our time.
It really is. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. We'll see you next time.
Take care.